Okay, what should I play next? Oh yeah, Crookz the Big Heist. It looks cool. Let me first check how long to beat. 13 hours? Not bad. Oh. When I look back at my channel, I realize something. In terms of genre diversity, it's not big. There are a couple of exceptions like Code Zero, a tactical shooter from top-down view, Boy 3D platformer in the vein of Mario 64, Loco Ball, side-scroller physics football game, very fun, very cheap. I have others, but I play mostly FPSs, third-person shooters, etc. I'm playing it a bit safe, where I feel most comfortable, but this makes my channel and my gaming experience a bit stale. I'm not saying it's wrong to play primarily one or two genres, but for me I feel like I want to challenge myself to try new games in a different genre, like real-time or turn-based strategy. This is why I choose Crookz the Big Heist. It's different and it's really damn good. Also, it became one of my favorite games for two simple reasons. One, there isn't any other game like it, and second, when you screw up, it's entirely your fault. Let's first tackle the story and the issues I had before the main meal of the day, gameplay. I'm gonna spoil the plot because I feel like if I say it's bonkers or ridiculous in a good way, I have to explain what I mean. Think about the story like this. The older James Bond movies. Controlling the world, lasers, weapon of mass destruction, it's not a nuke, bad guy monologuing about their evil plans. It even has sharks with lasers. They're in the background, but still, sharks with lasers. If you want to skip this section, jump to the time on the screen. The game starts at the time of the space race between the USSR and the US. American spaceship brings from the moon what is referred in the game as the Luna Stone, a rock with crystal.
All of San Francisco was buzzing about it. We'd even found a potential buyer. When we asked Don Cesare to fund our heist, honey, he couldn't cut the check fast enough. Back then, there were still 6 of us. Murray's plan seemed airtight. That cat had thought of every detail. Basically, everything in Venice had gone according to plan. For Murray, anyhow.
Our gang of 6 thieves decides to steal it because it's their thing and they can make money from it. But one of them, Murray, who planned the whole operation, has something else in mind.
Murray had totally screwed us over. Cesare bailed us out and we even found a way to pay him back. But after Venice, the team fell apart. And without a team, we had no chance to ever pull off the big jobs again. I suppose this is exactly what Murray had in store for us. No more sharing with anyone, especially not the Luna Stone. Lobkowitz fell off the face of the earth. We didn't hear a peep from him for years. Rufus and Rocket, the Rawlings siblings, went back to professional wrestling. All they really got out of it was bumps and bruises. Bishop founded an environmental group and dedicated his life to saving the planet. We'd occasionally do jobs together, but it wasn't the same. There were rumors that Murray had slimed his way into circles of people with power and influence. But no one really knew where that rat was hiding. 5 years later, the Luna Stone was on exhibit again. In San Francisco, right in front of our faces. Accident or not, Bishop and I agreed that Murray would try to make off with the stone again. This time, he needed to pay for what he did to the crew. This time, the Luna Stone would be ours. And Don Cesare was ready with intel for step 1 of the plan.
Every couple of missions, you'll be joined by someone from the old gang and everyone have one thing in mind: screwing up Murray. But it's easier said than done. The game starts with planning the heist of the Luna Stone, but by the end you are saving San Francisco, possibly the whole world. On a certain missions, the second female in the team, Rocket, joins the gang.
One heist on your conditions, one heist on mine.
The mission turns out to be infiltrating her ex cabin in the woods. At the end of the level, it's revealed that Murray was her ex and he was hiding something beneath the cabin, a whole underground secret base. There, the gang finds a robot who is the last member of the thieves. While pursuing their goal, they find Murray is a real Bond villain. He created a giant laser that can cause earthquakes with the help of a couple of rods from a nuclear power plant and the Luna Stone. He threatens to cause a tsunami if he isn't paid. Insert Dr. Evil meme. The Luna Stone is a MacGuffin. Nothing is explained about it, even why it's so important. Why can't Murray use a different crystal? But it's not a big deal. so the thieves with the heart of gold must save San Francisco. So much cheese. The final level is an underwater base surrounded by sharks with lasers. The tone of the story is lighthearted, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's absolutely bonkers, cliché, but I like it for that, and it was enough incentive to move forward and see the end of the game. If you like cheese, you will like the plot. The problems I have are not game breaking, but may lessen the enjoyment for some. The first is the graphics. You will mostly look at the game from a bird's eye view, but getting up close, things start to be a little bit ugly. Especially the character models, they are a bit janky. You won't zoom in too often to be an issue, but the in-game cutscenes, it's very noticeable. My second problem is the music. It's not bad, on the contrary, it's fantastic. Jazzy, funky 70s music fits perfectly the setting, it's amazing. But they are what it feels like, 4 or 5 in total, and you listen to them over and over again until they are burnt into your brain. This is what happened with me. Now I'm constantly humming or whistling them. Yeah, it's that bad. Now when we move out of the way the plot and the problems, let's dive deep into the gameplay. What type of game is Crookz? It's a real-time tactical strategy game with a pause function. The best way to demonstrate the gameplay is to walk you through all the phases. The first thing you have to do is to choose a mission on a map that looks like something you'll see in a metro/underground station. Very clean and simple design. 3 or 4 times you can choose between 2 missions. You can do them in any order, it doesn't matter, mostly. Every mission shows on the right side its difficulty, what unlocks after the heist, skills, thieves, gadgets, etc. Or if there is a construction plan that needs to be collected. That by itself is very valuable, and last but not least, the cash after completing a level. Things like all treasures found and best score are for replayability. I'll touch them briefly later in the video. You may find some incentive which mission to choose, and the incentive is the unlocks. They can ease your next mission. After you decide which one you will play comes the most important part, the planning phase. The thief starts narrating what they have to do during the mission, with the camera showing what they are talking about. Sometimes they give an advice about the approach, but it's not necessary to follow it. In this phase you will see the level as if it's like a schematic for the place, but much simplified. This is referred in-game as the map. You can toggle it during the gameplay if you ever feel the need to check something. It shows you all the important objects, and this is how you know about all the dangers and goals. It highlights doors, guards and their patrol roads, cameras, traps, etc. and also gives you overview of the level. This is where you're going to plan your approach. When you're making your route, you have to look at all the things I mentioned above. The combination of all of them, you base your decision what and who to take with you. In the beginning it's easy. You have less thieves, not many gadgets, the missions are not too difficult. But where it gets interesting is when the levels start to have 2 or more stars of difficulty, especially with the full roster of characters and more gadgets unlocked. All the thieves have different skill set, which they unlock at certain missions. Combined with the 20-ish gadgets, it gets harder to decide. I will speak now for some of the characters and some of the stuff you unlock. I don't want to spoil every single thief and gadget in case I manage to convince you to buy the game. You start with Cleopatra and Bishop. Cleo is the fastest in the gang. Later she unlocks skill that lets her get really close to a guard without him notice her, which is helpful if there is not too much room for maneuvers. The others are slow, and the only way to run as fast as her is to take adrenaline pill, which is one of the things you can buy. Bishop is the locksmith. He starts with the ability just to unlock regular doors and strong boxes. Later he can get the ability to unlock steel doors and safes. Regular locked doors can be cracked with a crowbar, but it makes noise and may attract guards. This goes for the rest of the crew. Everyone have their specific abilities, everyone is useful in one way or another. After choosing the thieves, you have to buy some gear to help you. The way you decide what to get depends on your approach to the mission. You can't take more than 4 thieves, it depends on the mission, and all of them can carry up to 3 items with the exclusion of 2 characters. Cleopatra, which can carry up to 4, but this is something she unlocks in the latter half of the game, and Robomatic. He's a robot, he can carry one, but can't use it. You can always drop an item on the ground for some of the other characters to pick it. At first in the workshop, the place where you're buying all the necessary gear, you have just 3 items. Adrenaline makes the characters run faster for 20 seconds, chloroform knocks out certain type of guards for 30 seconds, after that they start searching for the attacker, and crowbar opens regular locked doors and strong boxes. At a steady pace, new stuff is introduced. Important thing to know is every item can be used just once. Besides all the traps, cameras, doors, etc., there is one more thing to be considered: how to deal with the guards. In the first several levels, they are either slow or fast, but both can be easily knocked out with the chloroform. At some point, tougher guards are introduced. They can be knocked out, but only with a character with specific skill or 2 items from the workshop. The last time can be taken out only with gadgets. It's not possible to knock out every single guard. You have to choose your battles wisely. When you put the mouse cursor on a guard or anything in the game, you can read their description, which is fantastic addition. In case of the guard, he shows what type he is and his patrol route. There you can see where and when he stops just to look around. Another 2 things to consider are his cone vision, it's self-explanatory, and his awareness, represented as a circle around him. Besides Cleopatra, the others have to use an item to sneak by them. If you step without the necessary gadget, the guard immediately turns around and sees you. What I found extremely useful is using the environment to hide from the cone vision. The guards can't see you if you're hiding behind a giant vase. It's very important to abuse the environments to hide, the limitations of the cone vision, and knowing how they will react using a gadget, knock them out, or something else. You start to get the picture by now. You have to consider everything. On the harder missions, I was planning sometimes for half an hour. They may have up to 4 maps. So many decisions to make. Do you take the locksmith or just buy a crowbar? Do you take the technician to help you with some electric devices or buy gear for them? Should you buy a chloroform to knock out a guard or try to avoid him? And not only that, with every thief and gadget unlock, it becomes harder. You have more options, but the level becomes quite complex. The truth is that there is no right path to take. Some may be short but dangerous, others safe but longer, and there is always an option to use the other thieves. This is what makes the game great. Options and options. For every skill, there is a gadget to replace it, but limited inventory space and something in the environment you may want to use twice is what keeps the player from abusing the system and the game tough but fair and fun. There are some gadgets that don't have skill analog. They add even more options for your strategies. When you plan the route, choose the crew and bought everything, it's time to see if your plan is flawless. You always start the mission on pause. From here you have to execute your plan by moving the characters. You will pause constantly to issue new orders. Mistakes happen, plans are changing. The control of the thieves is very simple and intuitive. You click with the right mouse button to set waypoints and create a route. You can put one directly to the place you want to go, but they always take the shortest route, which in most cases is not the best. You can set as many as you want waypoints. Each one is represented as a square. With left click on it, you issue orders for them to execute. Use an item, a locked door, go there, knock out a guard, etc. The most important is the hourglass, aka wait here. You can put up to 8 orders in one waypoint and also add, remove and rearrange them however you like. Let me give you an example why wait here is the most important command. If you point to bishop go somewhere, but he have to pass through a locked door, he automatically start unlocking it. But there might be a guard on a patrol and might see him if your timing is off, so it's better to set first wait here, see when it's safe and unlock the door. Another example is the difference between the walking speed of the main characters and the guards. The thieves are a bit faster, so maybe put a waypoint for the character to wait for a moment. Those are just 2 examples. When you take into account skills and gadgets, the combinations are plentiful. If there is ever a need, you can always put additional waypoints on existing routes. In the beginning you will create longer routes and sometimes you will go back and forward in the level. To help you not making mistakes with waypoints, arrows are showing which way will be the movement. On the missions with 3 or 4 stars difficulty, it's really hard to make them very long, so probably you will make them much shorter. Game of this type lives and dies by the level design. Here is great, but I've seen people complaining it's not realistic. That's true, not for every level, but true. A prison with 3 cells is hardly realistic, but gameplay wise they are fantastic. In my opinion, this is the most important. When you unlock the whole crew is when the level design shines. Then you have plenty of options how to tackle your tasks, sneak through a vent, break a wall, etc. All the viable roads in one map reflects the thief's skills. And that's not all. In the levels you can find scattered additional items. Some are the same as the one in the workshop, others exist only in the level, like a key for a steel door. Maybe you leave Bishop if you don't need that much his skills and use the key. There is also construction plans. They unlock upgraded versions of some of the items in the workshop. Every single one is worth collecting, but you have to take risks. They can be in a tough place to get. As I said, the good news is the levels are great, the bad news is they are not entirely balanced for every single thief, especially Cleopatra. Her skills felt like less useful on the harder missions, but balance the map to be played with all the characters is probably difficult. What I love about the levels is how big they become. You won't visit every single corner unless that is what you want, but gives you flexibility to your approach. Also, often maps require all the thieves to synchronize their actions. This will test your ability to think and your timing, because usually big risks are involved. There is one UI element you need to keep an eye on: the heat-o-meter. It's on the upper right corner. Every time thief is exposed to a camera or a guard notices them, it goes up. If you fill all the bars, it's game over. Now there is a way to decrease it, but you have to sacrifice inventory space. Almost all levels, before you unlock all the characters, you can see some additional routes that you can't use. This ties with the replayability. Those routes are for characters you will have the chance to play later, and if you want to improve your time and score, you can replay the earlier levels with different set of thieves. The game is slow and methodical as any tactical game. It's almost turn-based, but not quite. When you unpause and everyone goes to their merry ways, something may go wrong and you have often a split second to fix it. This means basically pause the game. This is the key feature. Gives you time to think and react. The game has replayability, which I didn't expect. When you finish a mission, you are giving points based on your performance, time spent in the level, how high was the heat-o-meter, etc. The replayability comes in the form of you doing better in the game and collecting briefcases with money, open safes, construction plans and strong bosses. They give you extra cash and better score. Speaking of money, with the exception of the first few levels, they are not an issue. You are making enough to buy the most expensive item 4 times without thinking it. The devs just give you full freedom to approach the levels however you want. I didn't bother collecting everything that gave me extra cash. If it's on my way, I'm grabbing it. I was mostly looking for the plans. They definitely worth the risk. This is a niche game. I don't think it will appeal to a major audience, which is a damn shame. It has such a good gameplay and it's cheap, long, cheesy story, multi-route levels, replayability, the constant decisions before and during gameplay. The feeling of beating a hard level or going inside the door in the very last second before a guard sees you is amazing. Some are saying that the game is more of a puzzle than strategy. I think you can say that for almost every turn-based game. Here, the decisive factor is you and there is nothing left to the dice roll. 2 advices before I end the video. First, learn how the AI will react to all your actions. When a knockout guard wakes up, he always goes to the place you came before taking him out. Second, laser barriers will not cause the end of the world. You are taught that in the tutorial. One more thing, don't look at my hours. I can see how the levels can be beaten faster. I just took my time. But if you want even more gameplay, there are additional challenges you can play from the main menu. There are a set of difficult maps with predetermined characters and gadgets. For a $7 game, I can safely say it's a pretty good value.